Welcome everyone to the game between Parham Maghsoodloo and Wei Yi at the FIDE World Cup 2025. These two players have been involved in an epic match. Their two classical games ended in draws, then two games of 15 plus 10 also ended in draws. Two games of 10 plus 10 also ended in draws. So now they are at 6 draws apiece. And now it's time for 5 plus 3. And in case of a draw here as well, two games, then we move to 3 plus 2. But for now, it's 5 plus 3 with Parham having the white pieces. Wei Yi has black, a handshake, and off we go. The clock hasn't started yet. Yes, d4. Knight to f6, c4, e6, knight to c3, and we have the Nimzo Indian with e3, castles, bishop comes out to d3, and right into the center with d5. Parham questions the bishop chops off on c3, takes on c4, bishop c4, and now pawn to c5. The knight comes out to f3 and queen c7, putting pressure on the bishop. The bishop drops back to e2, b6, bishop comes out to b2, strengthening the center. Pawn takes pawn, and now Parham can take back with the c pawn, with the e pawn. He decides to take with the c pawn. Bishop a6, trading these bishops, and Parham goes knight to e5. Maybe somewhere there's a trap with bishop f3 hitting this rook here. So Wei Yi decides to get rid of that bishop. Queen takes e2. Parham playing super quick. He has 5 minutes on the clock. Wei Yi being careful here and goes knight fd7. And the point is, when rook c1 is played, the c6 square isn't weakened because the knight still controls it. Knight goes back to d3. Knight to c6. This is definitely a small edge for white here. Maybe rook c1 to pin. No, he first castles. A good move. Rook to c8 played by Wei Yi. You can see why it's so difficult to beat Wei Yi, because he's just so solid. Rook a d1. Parham says, I don't want the open file. I'm going for the central play with my pawns there. Knight to a5. The knight wants to jump in to the c4 square, attacking the bishop and the pawn. And he goes d5. What a pawn sack here by Parham Maghsoodloo. If you take here, he wants to go knight f4 and take this back. Excellent chess. e5. Wei Yi declines that. That's also a good move. And now there is a very insane move, which is f4, and Parham finds it. He pushes his pawn to f4. Wei Yi now, if he pushes the pawn to e4, then has to be very careful about mating ideas on g7. So he goes knight c4, attacking the bishop. F takes e5, takes the bishop, queen b2, and now white is a pawn up here. And Parham believes that he can win this position, but Wei Yi queen c4. He should have come one step further ahead with queen c3, but he goes queen c4, and now just queen to d4, or even knight b4 to c6. These look like wonderful moves. Yes, queen d4 played, and you don't want to be trading queens here. Queen to b3. Is this pawn very relevant? Not really. Rook b1 played. Oh my goodness. Is he going to trap the queen somehow? Well, Wei takes the pawn, but now rook a1 and rook takes a7. It's coming in. It's coming in. Oh my god. Queen to b3 played, and rook fb1. Epic play here by Parham Maghsoodloo. Queen is put on c2. You can play rook c1, you can play rook b2. e6, also not a bad idea. He goes knight b4, attacking the queen. Queen comes to g6. Now he's jumping in with the knight. There was a check threatened here, so rook e8. And now maybe rook c1. He pushes e4, and that's not a good move. because now with knight to b8 you get rid of this knight, and then these pawns become slightly weaker. Also the rook can swing into c2 to attack on g2. That's the problem here. Queen comes up to g5. Also a good move here. h4. What a move. He moves in queen g3. Just to tell you guys, if queen takes h4, he wanted to take on a7. But queen g3, e6 pushes the pawn forward. This is intense. He takes on e6. Rook takes a7. Now if the knight moves, there's a mate here. Although the queen defends it, so not really. The best move is rook c7. Ooh, he finds it with just 18 seconds on the clock. Wei Yi is as calm as a cucumber there, as cool as a cucumber. He takes back. Queen takes c7. And Parham unable to find the best moves. He goes e5. Another excellent move by him. And Wei Yi goes knight to c5. What level of accuracy shown by these two players is just mind-boggling. Rook to f1. The knight jumps back and he takes ed. Knight takes d5. The position is even. I think both players have chances here. Should be around equal. He goes rook d8, pinning here. Rook d1, very important. Finds it. Also threats of knight f6 if the knight moves away from c5. King h8, good move. Who's the first one who's going to blunder here? Queen c4, queen e6. Both players down to 7 seconds. 6. Queen d4 played. h6, wonderful move, taking away the back rank issues. h5, queen f7. And now this is tough moment for Parham. His pawn is hanging on h5. He goes g4 and the first and the last mistake here. Queen f3, he goes rook d2. But now everything is losing. Knight b3 fork. He goes queen g3 check. Rook here, queen e1 check. King h2 and now knight to e6, hitting the queen. He takes on b6. Queen takes e5 check. And rook g3 and he's going to lose the knight there. Rook takes d5 and this is over for Parham Maghsoodloo. Look at him, he's so upset because he knew he had got his opponent there. That was a big one there for Wei Yi. He wins the first game. Now Parham has to win on demand with black. It's so tough here facing guys like Wei Yi. They are just so brutal, and in time pressure Wei Yi played like an absolute monk, you must say, like so calm, so cool, and made so many accurate moves. I was amazed by his accuracy there. He signs the score sheet, puts back all the pieces and then goes away. The players are back for the second game now. This one's going to be super important. Wei just needs a draw with white pieces, but in 5+3 it's never easy to keep things under control. His opponent Parham Maghsoodloo, he needs to win here. Let's see what Parham does. Handshake and off we go. Pawn to e4, c5, Sicilian. Knight to f3, he goes d6. Wei Yi can give a check on b5. No, he goes for the open Sicilian. Yes, there are many drawing lines in the open Sicilian. a6, Najdorf played. g3, very solid weapon against the Najdorf. e5, he brings his knight back to b3. Parham pushes his pawn to h5 and the bishop comes here. Bishop e7. And Wei Yi goes queen d2. Bishop comes out to e6. And now bishop takes on f6. Bishop takes f6. Have to be slightly careful about bg5 moves here to win the queen, but f4 is there in the air. Bishop g5, f4. We have bishop dropping back to h6. And now what's Wei Yi going to do? He goes knight to c5. And the queen comes into e7, but now he chops off the pawn and he takes on f4. King goes to b1 and the knight comes out to c6. He takes the queen, king takes queen. Maybe better was to take with the knight here, because he's missed here knight d5 check. What a nice move. And suddenly Parham is lost here, because okay, firstly this pawn is hanging, so he takes. Now where do you go with the knight? The pawn comes to b6. Oh my god, this is totally losing now for Parham. D takes c6. He takes, black takes, check. King comes up and bishop c4. Beautiful chess here. Rook f8 trying to defend that pawn. And now c7. The pawn is just running. Parham says, I must do something on the other side. Check. King goes back to g7 to defend the bishop. Bishop takes a6, threatening c7. Amazing play. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And rook c6 played. Well, rook c6 with the idea of making a queen, and Parham takes on a6, rook a6 and pushes f3. He comes back threatening to queen. The rook blocks it. Can you get the other rook into the game? But black's f3 pawn is a bit dangerous. He plays c3 to get the king into the battle arena. Pawn to f5. And king comes up to c2. Well, Parham has absolutely no moves and no hopes here. He goes bishop e3. Maybe king comes up further. f4 played. King comes up to e4 and Parham leaves the king on g6. It's an illegal move here. He brings back the king. Wei Yi is thinking about the arbiter but decides against it. Parham, instead of moving the king, moves his h-pawn. Wow, what is this? And he's sorry to his opponent. Pawn takes h4, check, king f5. I mean, Wei Yi should have got an extra minute there for illegal move. Parham had to move his king, but I think both players are so engrossed in their game. Hg, and now c8 queen is coming in. He resigns there, Parham. Wei Yi scores the second win here and qualifies to the 5th round. He's shaking his head. Parham Maghsoodloo is unhappy. And well, Wei Yi, the most respectful GM out there, deals the situation with great respect. Parham gave us such a good fight, but in the end fell short. Wei Yi is through to round number 5 of the FIDE World Cup 2025.